This episode is brought to you by The Princess Process. If you're just starting out in your business and you're trying to figure it all out on your own and you're still trading time for dollars, or maybe you still have to have side hustles and part-time jobs to support yourself, or you frankly aren't bringing in more than $35,000 a year in your business, then I invite you to join my VIP monthly membership, The Princess Process. Think about it. Every princess has a community that expects that she'll be queen one day, right? And every princess has an elite council who is training and grooming her for the day that she takes the throne. Inside my VIP membership program, The Princess Process, you get to benefit from my successful 10-year track record in sales and entrepreneurship, and you get the community of mission-minded, heart-centered entrepreneurs to support you on your rise to reign. Join me weekly for training and live laser group coaching to walk you through the exact steps you need to get you more clarity, confidence, and cash flow in your business. Together, we master the 6 pillars of business, from mindset, skill set, systems, branding, marketing, and sales, to take you from princess to queen bee of your biz, getting you the income, impact, and freedom that you deserve. And when you join now, as a thank you for being a loyal listener, you get lifetime access to my $111 Sell Like a Queen 5-hour self-study course that can help you increase your sales up to 300%. And you get to keep that as my gift to you for life. My private clients invest thousands of dollars a month to work with me. So the Princess Process is the best place to work with me as your coach consistently, with no commitment, no high fees, and access to live weekly group coaching and training available to no one else outside our VIPs. And just for the month of March, you can lock in your membership at $49 a month. But hurry, because the price goes up to $99 a month in April. So head on over to crownyourself.com/The Princess Process and sign up today. Welcome to the Princess and the Bee podcast, the place to be to build your empire as queen of your body, business, and life. I'm your host, Kimberly Spencer, founder of crownyourself.com, and I'm an award-winning coach, Amazon best-selling author, and multi-passionate entrepreneur. Each week, I give you the systems, strategies, and success stories to help you master your mindset, communicate with ease, and triple your productivity so you make the income and the impact you deserve. Imagine this podcast as your weekly spark of inspiration as you take it to the next level with all the bees of your life: body, business, bank account, boys, and babies. Let's make it rain. Hello, and welcome to the Princess and the Bee podcast on business, bodies, boys, bank accounts, and babies. And I am so excited today to introduce you someone very, very special and dear to my heart. This individual, oh my goodness, this woman is going to rock your world as she has rocked mine. She is the amazing and talented Bonnie Strati. She has been a client of mine for almost 2 years, I have to say. And she is the founder of Bonnie Strati Coaching in Greenwich, Connecticut. And she provides comprehensive services that support and foster the health and wellness of her customers. She uses the ancient art of yoga to guide you while incorporating cutting-edge modern science of athleticism and yoga to help you achieve your full potential. She has a multifaceted knowledge and program and experience in yoga, and she just brings so much to the table with her level of fitness expertise. And that has also led her to being the director of operations of the Institute of Yoga Sports Science. So I am so excited to bring on Bonnie. Bonnie, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Kim. I'm so thrilled. I'm so thrilled to be here. Thank you.
So I know I did not do your bio enough justice. So please, please give us a little bit more history as to what got you started in the entrepreneurial world, but specifically in personal fitness.
Okay, where I guess this is one of those times where you just start at the beginning. So I, was back in college. I graduated from Ithaca College with a degree in speech communications. So probably the basis of everything that we do is the skills of communication. And, as a typical freshman, I gained that little freshman 15, which wasn't a little when I'm only 5'2", so on a 5'2" frame. And I came home that summer and kind of started dieting, doing the old Weight Watchers thing, and went to this, got a job teaching aerobics. And I was like, wow, this is really cool. Like, I actually can combine, losing weight, getting healthy, and teaching something that's kind of fun, until I sat with the woman who ran the place in this really tiny room. And she sat there, we sat around this, oblong table and smoking her cigarette, wanting to teach me how to sell. And I was like, you're literally sitting there. I was all of 18 years old going, oh no, this is not where I want to be, but I really like this teaching part of it. So I left. Matter of fact, a girlfriend of mine stayed. One of my best friends, she was my matron of honor. She stayed on. And I went back to college and found a place up at the college to actually become a certified aerobics instructor. And that was back in the Jane Fonda days. I used to take my fellow, college girls into the little lounge area, and we would throw the Jane Fonda tape on, and we would all, jam out in our leg warmers and everything.
That was my next question. Did you actually wear the leotard?
We actually wore leg warmers and, the whole Olivia Newton-John soundtrack, that kind of thing. It was kind of crazy. And, there was that element back then of this high impact, aerobics. And I've always been pretty intuitive, especially when it comes to my body. And there was something there wasn't something that told me, I couldn't move that fast. My father's born German, and I have that little bit of German in me. I can't dance, So when it came to the aerobics aspect, I added an element of power into it. So what we now call plyometrics, like the jumps and everything, mm-hmm. That was actually my aerobics class back then. And I sit there and I go, wow, if I had more of that science knowledge back then, man, I would have gotten, started a lot sooner. So, I went into that when I was in college. I actually moved out to California after I lived in college, lived in Westlake Village, taught under an amazing woman out there, and just, developed more skills. Came back east, met my ex-husband, at the time. And he sort of had that forethought into personal training. And I'm talking back in 1990. Mm-hmm. So where it was, it was really for the people that could really afford it. It wasn't what it is today where, much like coaching it, everybody could use one. Mm-hmm. And if you walk around the gym and look at people and you're like, oh, they're just doing the same exercise, or they're not making any changes. Well, it's really because they don't have the knowledge, or they haven't done, their research. But back then, personal training, it was kind of for the elite in a way. But again, he had that, I have to give him that credit. He had that forethought, and he said, do you want to work half the hours and make the same money? And I was like, hell yeah.
Why not? That sounds amazing.
The only problem was I worked a quarter of the hours and made half the money, but I still had the freedom. Mm-hmm. And, it developed personal training degrees, eventually got into practicing yoga, and then started my knowledge more into the aspect of yoga in flash forward to 2011, when I met Haley Winter, founder of the Institute of Yoga Sports Science, and I took the online training course to become a yoga sports coach. That was really that culmination of the turning point of how do I take all of this and bring it all together. And, I think much like what you do when you and I work together, it's about all those other tools that you bring in to make you unique. And it's all the experiences that I've had, including all the trainings, and really where my heart lies. And my heart lies really in getting deep down into people and bringing them up to the level that they need to be, whether it be in their athletic performance or in their life based on their physical being, whether they need an element of training, an element of nutrition, or that element. All of my teachings bring the element of yoga in, because as we teach at the Institute of Yoga Sports Science, it's a more functional approach. So
how specifically is it different than just your average yoga training? Like, what makes yoga sports science different and unique?
We dive into the components of anatomy and biomechanics, so that when we teach our coaches, how to create a yoga sequence based on our methodology, it's really around understanding what the technique is you want to use. So based on an athlete's primary performance objective, right? So say, a runner is, looking to prevent a calf tear or something like that. Then the focus will go on a technique that would go around preventing stress in the calf. Mm-hmm. And then you would have certain techniques that, would lead up to that. And then your counter technique. And then incorporating breathing. Breathing is a huge element because most people don't utilize to near capacity of what their lungs are capable of. So that's a primary element. It's, we fully honor the ancient practice of yoga, but we're really just diving into that scientific side of it and the functionality of it. And as I said, it becomes with more tools, with more knowledge, you're able to be so much more creative in what you're doing.
One of the things that I found fascinating about yoga sports science and throughout the time that we've worked together is just the concept of how you train a catcher in baseball is going to be very different than how you train a pitcher using the methodologies that you use with yoga. Can you elaborate a little bit more on that?
Well, yeah, the physical demands of a pitcher are different than a catcher when it comes to, their hip movement, or even if you take it and take a look at a like a pitcher to a batter, in terms of similar in the amount of use in their legs, but then you have that rotational component. So you're looking at it as an overall sport. You're diving into what are the injuries, the common injuries for the athlete within that sport, understanding it. So it has that element of, helping to prevent the injury, but then also giving them the element of what do they actually need to generate this much more. Because we know for elite athletes, it becomes about the marginal gain, right? And that marginal gain could be so small. And at the time when I was actually doing my training, I have a good friend that played some semi-pro ball. And he was sort of like my little guinea pig. He wasn't my case study athlete at the time, but he was, wanted to, he was dealing with some hip stuff. And I was, just saying, all right, well, I'm learning this. Let's try this. I'm learning this. Let's try this. So I was just trying all these techniques on him. And 3 months after we started, he had a major league tryout locally here. And I was able to actually, go and observe him. And for a guy who was already throwing 90 miles an hour, he added 3 miles an hour to his fastball.
Dang.
And that wasn't even our objective. My objective was, at that point in time, with the little knowledge I had, was just to give him some relief in the discomfort that he was feeling in his hips. Mm-hmm. So, it was just something that you go, oh, wow. and at 90 miles an hour, the percentage, don't talk to me about math. I don't do numbers. I do words. But I know that's pretty high at that level.
Yeah. And that's the amazing thing about any sort of high performance, right? So with high performance, it's the degrees of perfection. It's when you start learning anything, whether it's personal development or, a sport, you improve 100% the minute you start practicing, because your improvement goes up as soon as you're able. If you've never picked up a golf club in your life and you are able to successfully swing, your improvement goes up 100%. After that, the percentage really decreases as you get to that level of mastery. And once you get into the 3 percentile, it is tiny little degrees of tweaks and shifts that you have to make in order to get to that elite 1% level. So I would love for you to touch on how that applies to personal development and coaching with high performance in particular.
Okay, I had one more thought though on the other thing.
Oh yeah, go for it.
It just sort of popped into my head that the other reason that I did want to go into this training was, you triggered it, was saying the fact that it gets to be smaller and smaller and smaller. And with the knowledge I have now, it gave me the confidence, because when you're working with an elite athlete, if you don't have the proper knowledge, it could be the difference of them succeeding, them, gaining all this in their sport, or you actually shutting them down from their sport by injuring them. Mm-hmm. So that's where that element of knowledge comes in. So now you want me to talk about how this moves into, repeat that question.
Well, I mean, you deal with the high performance on the actual physical level with dealing with elite high performing athletes.
Right.
Now with high performance coaching, the difference is it's less about, I'm not physically hands-on with a client as you are, but it's more about the mindset of that high performance and then the degrees of which you can shift to that. So can you speak a little bit more onto how you got onto your own personal development journey and kind of where you were when we first started working together?
Oh, a mess. I can completely and utterly say that now. Back then, I was like, and I can be perfectly honest. I mean, and I will say it, how many times did you come on and I was sitting there, woo, mm-hmm. Just completely shut down. And
why was that?
It was about, I think what I'm understanding now, it's about understanding how to create the space. Mm-hmm. I was so in my stuff, and it just was just like this. And I didn't know how to go, okay, it's over there, it's over there. I'm over here, and I can actually, put it into a little bit more perspective. So for me, that comes with really the practice of the habits, mm-hmm. and just perseverance. Just fall down, get up, do it again. Don't want to drink my water. Okay, missed a day, get back on the bandwagon, tomorrow. Don't feel like working out today. Just go, just get it done. It will start. I went this morning and I was just like, oh, I don't feel like working out. And, people think because I'm in the business that I actually like working out. I don't necessarily like working out. I like what it does for me. But sometimes when I'm there, I am just like everybody else. I don't necessarily want to be there. And people think that, oh, because you're a trainer or because you practice, that you actually enjoy it all the time. No, the difference is I go and do it whether I actually want to or not. Mm-hmm. Because I know I project to how I'm going to feel if I don't do it, in a sense. So I
love the fact that you focus, that you shift into, instead of, oh my God, I'm going to feel this pain and this struggle, you project to beyond the pain and the struggle, and you project to the feeling after the workout where you're like, oh my God, I feel amazing.
Yeah. So it's really about, it's all the little things. It's actually, in a way, it's sweating all the small stuff. Mm-hmm. So that was pretty good.
So on that break,
I love when I come up with stuff.
Oh yeah.
So where we're always saying, don't sweat the small stuff. No, sweat that small stuff, literally sweat through it so that you can create this bigger picture. And go ahead.
Oh, so what would you say then were your biggest breakthroughs on the small things that that maybe were becoming or feeling like big things that you were able to then sweat out, in essence?
Big things like big issues in my life, or
big issues of like, when we started working together, like you said, you're a bit of a mess, a hot mess, but
you can totally say how bad of a mess I was.
A hot mess, but a bit of a mess. And so with the journey, what was the journey like for you as you got the breakthroughs that you had? Tell me a little bit more about that.
Oh, wow. It was, and the interesting thing is, like, I've had a lot of breakthroughs in the last weeks, in the last months of just, as you and I were, talking before we went on film, that, recently I was faced with literally to the day being in the same situation that I was 1 year ago. Mm-hmm. And it did take me 5 days to create that space, because it was so overwhelming to me. But within those 5 days, I was actually able to say, you've been here before. Do you remember the pain you went through last year? Do you want to go down that same path? Mm-hmm. And it was in that moment in time that, I remember the definition of insanity, and just decided to take that leap of faith and go in the other direction. And ironically, the timing of my thinking of that and you actually sending me the email about doing this interview was just confirmation that I was about to head down the right path. So, I thank you for, being that little bit of catalyst right there. But it's really and again, my meditation practice which we know last year I did 100 days in a row and I wrote about it, and then you fall off the bandwagon. That was the other sort of pinnacle point this year, was going back for my third meditation training with my teacher, David Nichtern, who's just, absolutely amazing, and have him literally call me out in the group of 8 people. As I said, I don't, I'm kind of in and out of my practice. And he just looked me square in the eye and he's like, if you're going to teach it, you have to practice it. And very, very profound words for anybody in the industry of anything that we do, that it's, practice what you preach. You can't. And when I train people, I don't ask people to do anything that I don't personally do, unless it's something, that I need them to do for knowledge base, whatever. Mm-hmm. But, that was sort of a really pinnacle moment this year also, of being, all right, I need to change directions.
And we only just started this year, so it's going to be such an amazing year for you. I'm so excited. So what would you say were your most epic and favorite failures? Because one of my things is, I believe with your failures, nothing's really a failure until you, if you learn from it and you grow from it. And sometimes it's those failures and that struggle that can really skyrocket you to an amazing place. So what would you say is your favorite?
My favorite failure. Obviously I'm divorced now. So, when you take a look at, walking away from a marriage, and this is kind of scary because it's not really something that I talk about, publicly. I'm very private in that sense. And I, but it's the realization that, in essence, you failed at something. Because you were, it's obviously it's a combination of more than one person, yeah. But, you're part of that. You're part of that twosome. And when it doesn't, when it doesn't work out, it is, a failure, on yourself also. So that was, to me, that was pretty epic, because I'm the kind of person that I put every ounce of effort into everything and run it through the mill much longer than the average person, might. It's like, seriously, you went on that long. So that to me was a big failure in that sense. And, a lot in regards to my kids, that you let your kids down, and having to rebuild that. But again, whatever, you take it and you turn it around, and it's brought me to where I am. It's brought me to meet the people that I was supposed to meet, in my lifetime, to actually take me to where I'm going.
Mm-hmm. That was right around the time when we first started working together, was about a year or so after you had gotten divorced, and it wasn't even finalized. So what were the big lessons that you really learned that have set you up for what you're doing now, and put you more into alignment with your purpose?
I think some of the lessons that I've learned are, believing in myself. Number one, believing in what I actually have the ability to do, and having to almost remind myself on a daily basis, because we tend to be too humble. And we tend to be like, okay. And somebody like, I was working with a client one day, and it was just one of those moments where everything came around full circle. And I said something, and she looked at me and was like, wow, like spot on, like, wow. And you sit there and you're like, wow, that was really cool. How did I figure that out? I'm still, sometimes I amaze myself.
I do it all the time too.
I'm like, oh, I'm not really quite sure how I did that, but that was really good. And just because you pay attention to people and you give them this service. So I lost my track on the question now. Sorry, I got off.
So what were the lessons that you learned from that?
I was talking about believing in myself. Going off on my own was really about finding my voice and trusting my voice, and trusting that what I had to say people wanted to hear. So I think those are the biggest things. And then sort of, also putting my foot down with what I believe in, and actually having to be like, what, I believe this is good for us, and we should really try this. And then if it doesn't work, and we can go down another path, but oftentimes it does. And so I've learned, when I want something, when I believe in something, to really go after it.
And I know you're doing that now with YSS. So tell us a little bit about how you are growing and developing this company, and some of the goals that you now have for that company that you have been so dedicated to.
Okay, so I graduated from YSS back in 2012. And it was the first year that it was opened up to the US. So we went global. That year. And after that, Haley had asked me, to come on and start working. And, it was sort of this bits and pieces kind of thing coming together. And it was about this time last year that Haley was basically, like, come on board, and here, take the ball and start to run with it. So we know that last year was really about organizing, getting the company organized, because things were just they just sort of gone all over the place. And as frustrated as I was at the end of the year, because for me, I want to see the money coming in. I think in January one day stop and go, oh wow, I actually accomplished what I set out to do last year, and we are now organized, in order to move forward. So we have a couple different avenues that we go down. We have an online yoga sports coaching course where it's really a specialty yoga certification. So it's for either, yoga teachers, trainers, physios. I have a podiatrist coming on to the next course. Mm-hmm. So anybody in that health related field that wants to be able to, understand our methodology, get a little bit more on the anatomy and biomechanics and how to create solid sequences with the understanding of an athlete. So that's one of our main focuses. It also, for the person that has never taught before, it gives them a yoga certification. So there's two avenues that you can go there, but I really consider it a specialty because people are like, well, I've done my yoga teacher training. What? Well, yeah, you're going to get more in this course than you will in any other course as a Yoga for Athletes specialty course. And we do live training. So we bring our foundation course, which is just a taster of our main course. We bring that into a live component. We have an online training component to that. So that's about 40 hours worth of work. I just got back from London. We were in London last month doing, actually a couple weeks ago, sorry. We did a fantastic two-day training at St. Mary's University. So we're usually there twice a year. I'd like to get one going here back in Brooklyn at our headquarters coming up in September. And, I'm looking to take this course to the point where people actually say, hey, we want you, come to our facility. Mm-hmm. So that's one of the goals that I have with this company. We also have some other smaller products that we're launching this year. So I'm going to be really excited. I think April or May, and affiliate programs and little tidbit. We just went live on Facebook last week. We had so much fun. I'm going to be back out there this week and start showing some techniques and everything like that, and then answering questions and start to see what everybody out there wants from us, how best we can serve, our audience.
Mm-hmm. Now, when we first started working together, this was not your passion, your purpose. This was it was something that you did. So really what shifted into you having this level of clarity and focus now that you're scaling this company to be beyond, it's already global. Now that you're scaling it to be a massive resource for yoga teachers and for athletic departments to bring you guys in as the knowledge base and resource for their teams?
What shifted? I just think the main thing that shifted was my confidence. And ironically, when we were at HPA back in September, and I remember Brendan being like, or maybe it was actually at EA, and he was talking about people, going on video and things like that. And he literally just stood up there and was like, you're not in high school anymore. And I was like, oh gosh, I'm not? You mean I actually have to go on? So that just stuck in my head. And October, November, December, January, see, I have to count.
Yep.
You know what? Six months later, I finally do my first Facebook Live. And I'm not in high school anymore.
You graduated.
I graduated. Look at me, Mom. I'm on TV. And I actually had a really fun time. So, it's really those that, the celebrating the small successes. Mm-hmm. And just, being okay with I don't want to say failing, because not failing, but we just sort of rolled with the technical things and just was very, very relaxed about it, and knowing it doesn't have to be perfect.
Amen. Preach.
So I think that's the biggest shift.
Yeah.
Is not having to be perfect.
Yeah.
And just being.
And letting it be what it is, and growing it and trusting that it is perfect and it's as it is, and that the degrees of perfection, just like in your coaching with athletes and you're working with athletes, it's you give them something, and then you test and you tweak and you work with them to find that perfect acceleration, because you're only working with those tiny degrees. So what would you, I know you've worked with like life coaches before. I know you had a life coach before me. Why do you, and I know you do coaching as well with health and nutrition. So why do you believe in coaching?
Oh, because everybody needs a badass, sparkly cheerleader.
And for those of you who don't know, that's like how I describe myself. It's I describe myself, my 3 words for clarity are a badass, sparkly cheerleader. So
That was good.
that's good. That's good.
Because again, people hire me for my expertise.
Mm-hmm.
And, I watch people on a daily basis. I'm an observer. And, I watch somebody running down the street and you're like, so you learned to run when you were a kid, but what makes you think you can run as an adult? And that, everybody, and I wasn't saying that in judgment. I was saying that in observation of everybody can enhance themselves. And, everybody has a specialty. Let's say when I did get married and I hired my professionals, and they were like, you are the calmest bride. And I would go into the flower shop and I would say to the flower guy, I want purple flowers. I want them loose. I don't want, and this is what you do. So bring to me, what you do, because that's not my knowledge base. But for some reason, people think that they actually know how to live their life. But everybody could use somebody to just hold them accountable, and to be firm with them and say, are you being the best person that you want to be? Not that I want you. Who do you want to be? Because I meet so many people. And, I met a guy the other day. I was talking to him, and, he was kind of like Eeyore. I actually kind of sent him, a little picture of Eeyore. I was like, you're being like Eeyore. You have the power. I was listening to a podcast this morning because I was getting, sometimes, me, when I get overwhelmed, I, shut down a little bit. And it's that sense of being overwhelmed really has to do with your mindset. The power in your mind that's letting that, engulf you. And people think that, things happen to them, but they really are in control of everything that goes. Well, there's certain things, but, that's circumstantial. But you know what I'm talking about, the things that happen generally in life on a daily basis. So, I'm a firm believer in coaching in all aspects. Look at an athlete. Look at how many coaches and trainers and yoga sports coaches and physios that they actually have on their team. And as I said to somebody the other day, after I had been in this really bad rut, and they looked at me in the eyes and they're like, oh my God, you're back, and you're back better than ever. And I'm like, damn straight I am. And I said, I have a really good team. And this person said to me, like, I don't have a team. And it's like, well, then find a team. And, as I know you've taught me to reach my hand out and ask for help.
That is a huge one, especially I think as women, that's the number one struggle that I see with all of my female clients, is really asking for help and making those big asks rather than staying stuck. And I think that really does come down to a place where maybe it's a societal programming or some sort of conditioning where we believe that we have to prove ourselves in some way to be strong enough or smart enough. So we have to prove that we can do it on our own, when we totally can. It's just a lot easier to get that extra support to lift you up. That's one of the reasons why one of my clarity words is cheerleader. And that was actually one of the signs that Spike did, my husband did, on our first date, is when we were talking about what a relationship is. That relationship, especially a romantic relationship, is your teammate. And he put his hands out and unfolded them like a cheerleader, because both he and I were cheerleaders. I was cheerleading captain. We were not at the same school, obviously not, but he put his hand out like a cheerleader. And a cheerleader, he has her teammates, like they lift them up, they throw you in the air so that you can soar. That's what a team does. And they also catch you when you fall. And they catch you so that you don't hit your face and fall flat on your face. And that's one of the biggest lessons that, if I could teach all the women in the world, is really just asking for that extra support and growing from that. So how did you really build this team? Like what beliefs did you have that, or what habits, or how did you seek out the team that you now have around you, that are the hand holding for support when you need it?
Wow, it wasn't easy to find, and I'm still also building that team. And I have a friend here on the East Coast, and I just said to him the other day, do you want to build a mastermind group? I just find it's so tough, because when we go to these conventions and things like this, and you get engulfed by people, and it's just so exciting. Then you go home and there's it's just a little harder to find it. It's not because there aren't people that are high performers here. There's just people, they're just so caught up in their lives that they forget about that, that other element. So, one thing I think I've learned also to do is to confide in my mother, a little bit more, which was always a great challenge growing up, and even, into the years, into my, divorce, that I just, there's times where I just need to hibernate, and I need to go deep inward, to process everything, but also I've got a circle of friends that are there for me when I get down into that place. Mm-hmm. And then, all the tools that I've learned along the way, whether it's my meditation, journaling, screaming a mantra over and over and over and over and over and over as I'm driving the car,
Hey, I do it down the road too. I'm like the crazy person. I'm like, whatever, you can. I'm in my bubble of happiness.
I on the plane back from London, I was watching the Queen movie, so I just, that's my latest song, is "Don't Stop Me Now." I just jam it in the car and I just crank it up, and I'm like, yeah, it's just, and then certain things like that, and songs that will just, turn you around. I have a friend that I met, a few years ago, and he's in the television industry. And when I met him, he said to me, the song that comes to mind when I think of you, when I met you, was the theme song from the Mary Tyler Moore Show. Mm-hmm. You know the song. And it's
been a while.
you literally have to go back and listen to it. And I listened to it, and I was like, oh wow, that sounds like me. And, she was such an amazing woman. And, again, when I get down, I have it in my playlist. I'll just go and play it, and I'll play it over and over and over and over and over again until I start to feel better. So there's just a lot of different tools I have in the toolbox.
I think that's something you really touched on in the beginning, is you fall back on your habits, and always learning how to either tweak or completely find new habits. Your habits are what guide you to that next level of what you do. And it's also how fast you get back up. And that's something that I have seen over the course of working with you, that you have just built this resilience of being able to pick yourself up back so much faster. And that's something that I just celebrate with you, that it's because that is one of the key things that a lot of times when people get down, it doesn't matter, we all know a lot of times, especially high achievers, we will get back up. eventually. But it comes down to, are you going to get back up consistently and faster so that that bad day doesn't turn into a bad week or a bad month, but that bad day, that trigger that hit you recognize it, and you have the tools to recognize it. And so you shift it radically. So that what used to be a bad day turns into a bad hour or two.
I think it's also honoring, for me, I'm a Sagittarius, I'm a fire sign, we know about that. Like my highs are really high, right? When I get excited, it's not that sort of frenetic energy, but I'm really excited, and, much like the kids. But then when I go from here to here, when I go from 100 to 0 in a matter of, 60 seconds, then it's like, boom. And I was telling someone today, it could be, it now will take maybe 3 things to bring me down. It could be 1 thing that brings me back up.
Amen.
So, and where in the past I've tried to say, okay, I want to bring myself more to this even keel. And I've tried for years, and I know my cycles, I know my habits, I know what happens. And then all of a sudden recently I've been like, but this is who I am. So I need to just, honor it and know that, when I get down, that's when I call on people, or, I just need that 1 bit of excitement that's going to pull me back up. But I don't try to fight who I actually am, because that, that's kind of what makes me me. And if I didn't let myself be that person, I would be somebody else, and I would probably be miserable, and like Eeyore.
You'd be sending a representative of yourself instead of actually being you.
Yeah.
So when did you recognize the glorious, amazing power that is you?
Oh, honestly, like last week. I mean, I knew she was in there. I saw glimpses. And actually, I think this, since maybe the middle of January, when I started doing some things that were really, putting myself out there in a very, I'm going to call it a very naked way, like letting myself be very vulnerable to situations and being okay with it. So, when we just put ourselves out there, it's like, okay, here I am. Let's see what happens to it. And so that was the start of it. And then having the opportunity to go to London, and it was my second event in London. Everything ran smooth because I had everything automated, even down to DocuSign and everything. Yes! So when the team walked in, it was just, we just introduced and got started, into the workshop. We actually filmed that the entire weekend so that we can work towards, what we want to do with that product line, and, stood up and did some teaching in front of camera. Felt good about it, had good responses to everything. So it's again, it was sort of that start of letting myself be vulnerable to something, and finding out that, wow, okay, I didn't die. Nobody got hurt, that kind of thing. And then you just start to build on it. So I'm really going to say about a little less than 6 weeks ago.
Mm-hmm. So do you think that vulnerability is like, how is vulnerability an asset?
It's an asset because it gives you an opportunity to really learn about yourself. Really I think it goes down to your deep core values, mm-hmm. in a way. And you're able to, put yourself out there and trust that no matter what happens, you'll always be okay.
And that's huge. That is huge.
Yeah.
So what do you consider to be your kingdom?
Oh, my kingdom.
If you could have a kingdom, what would you consider that to be?
Oh gosh, my kingdom. Is this Fantasyland now?
It's It's whatever you want it to be.
No, I think my kingdom is much like what we say, where's home? It's sort of, wherever I am is my kingdom.
Mm-hmm.
It's something that resides within me. It's that deep inner strength and power that keeps me, standing tall and plugging through. It's that spot that, you tap into when the going gets tough. And, recently, business wise, it's at a point where, you want to see the numbers starting to produce, but it's the perseverance. And it's just, okay, this is that not fun time where you just, kind of Groundhog's Day, keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. And it's, the kingdom within me that allows me to do that. So I think my kingdom is really the strength within me, I'm going to say.
I love that. It just like, I felt like as you were saying that, like, I went so woo, my chakras were just being like, so rapid fire to wrap this up. So we're going to go through these questions like super quick, and then I want you to share all the goodness that you have to offer this world. So rapid fire. Who is your female role model?
Oh, gosh. I think my female role model, I think when I thought about that, it was, I have two clients of mine. Mm-hmm. And they're both one's in their 70s and one's in her 80s. I've been with them for, well over 20 years. And they taught me so much about strength. I've, seen them go through so many things within their family, within their own physical health. And they just stood tall, beautiful, elegant. And they're my role models because I hope to be as dignified as they are when I'm their age.
I know you will be. So what is your favorite female character in a movie or a book?
Ooh,
rapid fire.
You don't understand me. I have something called movie amnesia. I literally can watch a movie, and at the end of the movie, the next time I go to watch it, I have no idea what happens at the end of the movie. So my favorite female character, gosh.
Book.
I'm looking around at my books. It's like I have yoga books and I have no storybooks. People, I'm blanking.
Okay. So if you were queen of a country, what would be your prime focus?
My prime focus would be love. Love makes the world go round. Okay?
If your palace had a curse jar, how often would you have to put in money daily?
If we were all loving, never.
Oh, come on. You can drop a loving fuck from time to time.
If it was last week, it would be like lots of money. Probably not that often.
What woman would you want to trade places with for just one day?
You.
Like me?
I want to be a badass sparkly cheerleader for a day.
It's a magical life. I'm riding on unicorns on a regular basis. So what 3 habits and beliefs have best served you on your road to crown yourself? 3.
Meditation.
Mm-hmm.
Water. Okay, because when I don't drink water, I wilt. And 3 habits. The third one would just be, I'm trying to think of how to actually say it, because it's not exactly a habit, but it's basically the habit of like not giving up. Mm-hmm. So the habit of just keep going, just keep plugging. Is that a habit?
Yeah, resiliency is totally a habit.
Okay, super.
What message do you want to share with the world?
I love you. The message I want to share with the world, like in terms of my business or just in general.
Your whole message.
I think my message, and I posted this quote on Facebook the other day because I actually came up with my own quote, and it's you don't always get what you want, you get what you need, but then sometimes you find out that what you need is actually what you want. That was good, wasn't it?
Boom! Like that
Boom.
was like a mic drop
Boom.
right there.
You know, and it's one of those things where we want, but is that really what we want? And if you just create that space, see what the universe presents in front of you, and then say, oh, wow, that's actually pretty cool. I wasn't expecting that, but the universe says that's what I need. And that's really what I wanted. I didn't want that over there because that wasn't treating me right. That was my ego or something telling me you want that, or you want that new shiny, car. But the old jalopy is really the one that's going to be, very trusting to drive you. The other thing is just, to really hone in and take care of yourself, focus on the self-care. And, we always talk about, the difference between self-care and being selfish. But self-care is just so important, from the body, from the mind, and everything that goes along with it.
So if you had to achieve all that you've achieved at twice the speed, all the breakthroughs, all the massive learning that you've had over the years, how would you have done it?
I would have met you about 20 years earlier.
I don't think I would have had the skill set at like 10.
You never know. That's a tough one because it's really about the journey. And I'm at the point where I actually, I love who I am. I love where I am. Okay, yeah, there's a few things I like in my life, but they're coming. But it's this amazing time period that I don't think I would have been ready for if I did it at twice the speed. So there's a reason that it took me this long. And I know we wanted things to happen a little bit sooner for me sometimes, but we all have the pace that we go at, and that pace is the exact perfect pace for us. And we will eventually get there.
So what does crown yourself mean to you?
Oh, it's, my eyes like look up and light up and everything. It's honoring everything about yourself as a woman. It's respecting yourself. It's believing in yourself. It's cheering yourself on. It's trusting your instincts, trusting your gut, and letting that bring out the authentic you.
I think I'm going to have to use that to rewrite my copy.
I'm getting good at this copywriting.
You're doing pretty damn good. So what do you have coming up that you can share with our audience? What do you have with Yoga Sports Science and with your own personal coaching, if anybody is either digitally, or if anybody just happens to be in Greenwich, Connecticut needing some?
Well, if anybody's here local, I will come to your home and I will work with you in whatever capacity you're looking to, work with, whether it's training or yoga or, add in the nutrition element. I'm doing a few classes. You can, if you want to find me on Facebook at, Bonnie Strati.
And we will have all the links for your both your own private coaching and for Yoga Sports Science in the show notes. So you'll be able to promote them all and check them all out. But what do you have?
Show has nuts. I like that.
my nuts or notes?
Oh, I thought you said show nuts. I was like, oh, show notes. Sorry.
The balls of the show.
sure they're steel.
So they'll be in the show notes. So what do you have coming up for YSS? I know you said you're launching some.
For YSS, we have an online certification training course that begins March 23rd. And we decided to condense it down to just one training a year. So it will be the last time this year to train with us until 2020. And like I said, it's a specialty training, and it's amazing. If you're looking to add that element and learn more and connect with a company that's leading in the industry, then take a look at our website, contact me directly. And we have, like I said, we're going to be launching a product. I'm hoping April 1st, if not May 1st. We're looking to get a membership group going. Link into us on Facebook. We're going Facebook Lives. We're just gonna be putting out a lot more free content this year, and it's an exciting year. I've got a lot of things up my sleeve that I'm not able to put out yet because they're still definitely in the secret works.
Yep.
So
got it.
But follow us and you'll start to find everything out about it.
Awesome.
And we're back in London in October. Might do one, maybe two trainings in London, and in New York and Brooklyn for a live training. I think the weekend of the 21st of September. So that one's for anybody. They don't have to have any experience with yoga. They can come and learn. And it's a really, really fun weekend.
Awesome. And the mastery level though is the one that's starting on March 23rd.
March 23rd, we require 1 year of yoga experience, but we actually look for diverse backgrounds, because then that brings into the group sessions all different. You're not the same people. It's nice when we have people from all different backgrounds. It really puts a really cool element, and you get to meet people from all. Last year I had a session where I had students from California to Chicago to the UK to South Africa to Malaysia. So we actually spanned 12 hours worth of time zones in one training course, and brought them all together in group sessions on Zoom. So it was a lot of fun. And we've sort of mastered how to create that community feeling in an online training for yoga, because it's really never been done before, but we've been doing it for 10 years. So we're the pioneers.
Awesome. Well,
yes.
Bonnie, it has been such a pleasure having you on.
Is it up already?
Yes, I know. Time flies when you're having so much fun. That's what you always used to say at the end of our sessions too. It's done. We're done.
But you have to remind people that if this was a year ago, I would have never done this. I would have never come on here with you.
Why is that?
I was deathly afraid. I wouldn't be able to think clearly. I wouldn't be able to talk. I still can't necessarily talk, but I think I answered some questions.
I struggle with talking.
I would have feared that it wasn't perfect instead of just relaxing and having fun and having a conversation with you. So for anybody that's listening that fears something like this, just do it. Just do it, and you'll be like, why didn't I do this so many years ago?
Ah, yes. Yes. And on that note, I thank you all for tuning in today. Thank you so much. And as always, own your throne, mind your business, make it rain. And if you like this episode, please be sure to take a screenshot of it and tag us on Instagram in the stories at Crown Yourself Now, and definitely tag Bonnie as well and Yoga Sports Science, because I want to know what your top takeaways are. And if you really, really love this episode, please leave a review in iTunes so that I can keep the content coming your way that you need to take you to your next level in all areas of your life. Thank you so much, and I'll see you next time. Thank you so much for tuning in today. If what you heard resonated with you, be sure to subscribe and share your breakthroughs and ahas with me by leaving a review on iTunes so I can keep the magic flowing your way. And if you aren't already following us on social media, come experience the extra inspiration and queenly convos on Instagram at Crown Yourself Now, or visit our website at crownyourself.com. I am so excited to connect with you in the next episode. And in the meantime, go out there and create a body, business, and life that rules.